Hey friends, if you're looking for quick tips to help you jumpstart your week, you are in the right place. I'm Lori Palau, host of the popular weekly podcast Organized Life, founder of Simply Be Organized, and every Monday I am here to bring you a quick organizing tip in under 15 minutes. All you have to do is click the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening, and let's get started. Everybody, and welcome to today's tip of the week. I am your host, Lori Palau, and if you are listening to this in real time, it is 4th of July weekend. So happy Independence Day, everybody. Happy birthday, America. As I was preparing for what I wanted to talk about for this week's episode, I was thinking a lot of people might be listening to this while they're on vacation. And when we're on vacation, a lot of times that's when we tend to do things that are not normal in our everyday routines. So maybe we sleep in, maybe we eat more or drink more. But another thing that we often do for many of us is we pick up a book and read, or we listen to a book on Audible. So I'm going to talk about actual, when I say reading, it could refer to listening as well. So just know that I'm using that word for any type of book content. How's that? And I know when my kids were younger, I oftentimes found that there were seasons of my life, even though I enjoyed reading, and even as a kid, I was a reader, that there were seasons where I just didn't carve out time to prioritize reading. I was exhausted. I was a working mom. I had a job during the day while my kids were in school or daycare, and then I picked them up and I was mom mode. And then by the time I put them to bed and took care of all like dinner and all the things, I was exhausted. And Josh and I are TV people. So a lot of times we would just prioritize like sitting down after a long day and just kind of watching some TV. And that's all well and good. No shame in that. But what I realized was there was like large stretches, like periods where the only time I would read, unless I was talking about like a quick article here and there, but to actually pick up a book and read it from start to finish was when I was on vacation. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know that there's other people who can share that sentiment. And so a few years ago, and granted, my girls were a little bit older, and so there was less of that emotional exhaustion. But I decided I was going to make a commitment that I wanted to become a little bit more of an active reader. Now, I know there's people that are listening to this that this might not apply to because you guys are already active readers. And if you are, that's great. And I might challenge you to say, hey, pick up a different genre if there's something in particular that you normally read, a particular topic that you normally read about. But for a large group of people, especially when I talk to clients and people out in the world that are struggling with organization, and I ask them about their reading habits, they say, I don't have time to read. I'm just so busy. And again, we've talked about priorities and or calendar clutter and things about how we prioritize our time and how we spend it. And I know from statistics that most people, and again, this isn't all people, spend a majority or a larger portion of time on social media than every year it increases. And so I've often challenged people to say, okay, if you were to replace your mindless scrolling, which again, present, if you see me right now on YouTube, I'm raising my hand. There's plenty of times where I mindless scroll as well. But if I were to replace a little bit of that in the evenings or in the mornings, or while I'm sitting in car pickup line, whatever that is, with reading a book, or again, listening to this on Audible, but actually challenging yourself to take yourself out of your own world. And that's really what I'm trying to get to, is when we read, we are transformed to a different place. And whether we're reading fiction or nonfiction, it's still, if you are invested in the book and you are engaged in the book that you are reading or listening to, it allows you to kind of create some additional margin from that never-ending to-do list that's going on in your brain. And I know for me, the biggest challenge was trying to figure out different genres that would take my brain down, because I write self-help books or in that category, that genre. And the majority of books that I will read have to do with some sort of self-improvement, right? Self-help, self-improvement, whatever you want to call it. And so for me, a lot of times that's work related, or I'll read books from authors that are on our show, and it's great, but it's also work related. And so I'll often talk to people that say, oh, yes, I'm in business and I'm reading a book about business, or I'm in finance, I'm reading a book about finance, or whatever it is. I'm talking more about recreational reading, finding time to do something that is going to allow your brain to take a pause from all that it has to do on the daily. And there are scientific studies, don't ask me to quote them because I don't have statistics in front of me, that show that if you are able to carve out that time, again, everybody's going to look different. It could be in the morning. I like to read in the morning. Josh likes to read at night. So depending on what works for you, some people I know, when my kids were in school, I used to take like a mid-afternoon or like I had a little window around like 3:00 when I would stop, take a break from work. And then the kids would get off the bus at like 3:45. And I might like pop dinner in the oven or start to prep something. And I would sit down with my book, even if it was for 20 minutes, and I would just read. And it gave me this really present pause in my day. And so my tip of the week for you this week is to find a book that interests you in a genre that interests you and commit to reading it from start to finish. And again, if you're somebody that either processes better, like through auditory processing, meaning listening, then listen to it on Audible. And if you're somebody that prefers to read an actual book like myself, that's great. Sit down. I love the act of reading. I like holding a book in my hands. I like being able to fold the page down when I need to take a break. I just love that ritual. And so whichever, if you're somebody who wants to read on your Kindle, that's fine too. Whatever it is, I just say commit to doing it. And I think it's really, really important for you to start to say, I can find, to try to proactively find, again, it doesn't have to be long. It could be 20, 30 minutes in your day to do that. If you don't know where to begin, of like, I don't even know what books are out there. I don't even know. We have a great Goodreads list that we've created that is made up of every single guest on our show that we ask what book they're reading or loving or has been transformative in their life, and they recommend them. So we've got a whole host of books that range in categories from fiction to nonfiction, self-help, children's books, historical fiction, pop culture, memoirs. I mean, you name it, we've got it. So if you don't even know where to begin on looking at that, check out our Goodreads list. We have it. It's on our website. You can find it at simplybeorganized.com. I forget exactly where the link is, but if you just go into the search bar and just type in Goodreads, you'll find our list. And we'll also link to it in the show notes. I'll have Kimberly link to that in the show notes. And again, if you are somebody who is an avid reader, that's great. Keep up the good work and maybe challenge yourself, like I said, to pick up a different genre than you're used to. And just, I think always kind of pushing ourselves a little bit out of our comfort zone is a good idea. So if you're on vacation, enjoy it. If you're not on vacation, you could still take that time to take it down a notch and enjoy the summer. So until next week, guys, Lori Palau. Oh, and if you're not already subscribed, really quick, make sure that you click that follow button. A lot of people have been saying how much they love these short form tip of the weeks. If we can just spread the word, get that out there, leave us a review. That would be great. Whether you're watching it on YouTube, you can put something in the comments, or if you're listening on Apple Podcast, please leave us a review. I don't listen on Spotify. I don't know if you can leave a review there, but definitely wherever you can, please let people know about our tip of the week, because everybody that's already listening to it says how much it's been really helpful for them to just get that extra little dose of motivation. And I appreciate you. So we'll be back on Thursday with our regular long form episodes, and next week with another tip of the week. Until then, I'm Lori Palau. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simply the letter B like boy organized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.